Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast with Michelle Chalfant, a place to delve into who we are, how we got that way, and explore what it takes to be a healthy grown-up. With an extensive toolbox and guests with varied expertise, Michelle will lead us on a journey to learn what it's like to live authentically and to love ourselves just the way we are. And now, here's Michelle.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Michelle Chalfant. I am, again, thrilled to be here with you today talking about such an important topic. Filters and programs, limiting beliefs, all of the above. And it just thrills me because if you're alive and breathing, you have these things. And guess what? They're limiting you in your daily life. So today's show is about really what we do with these filters and how we can break through limiting beliefs that make us feel small and victim-y and weak and lose ourselves and all of these things. So today's a day of transformation, people, and it's going to be a really good show. I just want to remind you all again, we have the Adult Chair Weekend Intensive, May 4th and 5th here in Nashville, Tennessee. For more information on that, go to theadultchair.com/workshop. I think we just have like a very few number of spots left, but go and check it out. We'd love to have you. And if you like today's topic, we talk about this kind of thing in that weekend. I mean, that's what the whole weekend is about, transformation. And I give you all kinds of tools and ideas on how to do that just for yourself. And of course, we do a lot of chair work. So come check that out. And do not forget, I have created, to expand your knowledge of the Adult Chair, the membership site, and we're having a lot of fun in there. And that's at theadultchair.com/membership. And you can check that out there and come join us. We've done the child, adolescent. This month is the adult. And then next month, I'm going to be talking with you about self-love. And it's a whole month deep dive into just one topic. And it's applying the Adult Chair in order to help you to find whatever it is that we're talking about. But again, next month is about self-love. So it's a good one. It's a good one. So come join us. Okay, getting right to it. Filters. So I want to talk with you just for a moment about what a filter is. A filter basically is a program. When I think about filters, a filter is, think about wearing glasses or goggles with which you see the world. So, in other words, we all have different filters and we all have limiting beliefs, but not everybody has the same ones. So depending on, again, what happened in childhood or what happened with some of even your adult experiences, you form very, very strong beliefs about things. A filter gets formed. So then it's like you put these goggles on or these glasses, and then you look out into the world and you just continue to only see the limiting beliefs that are dictated through the filter. For example, I'm going to give you some examples of filters. All men cheat. So if you have that filter that says all men cheat, it's like you're putting goggles on or glasses, and then you're looking out into the world. And guess what? You will attract in people and experiences that validate then that filter that all men cheat. So you'll be reading newspaper articles, or you'll pick up the perfect magazine and the front cover says men cheats. You will meet women or men that have had experiences where they were cheated on. You will, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this filter, right, these glasses that you're seeing the world through will continue to be validated because you have this belief. And then we just, because of law of attraction, are attracting in experiences to validate that limiting belief. Let me give you a few other limiting beliefs or filters. Driving down the expressway is unsafe and dangerous. So if you feel that way, and if that's your filter, again, you will not drive on the expressway. You will be at church and you will hear about so-and-so that was, in a car accident on the expressway. You will turn on the news and there will be a giant pileup on the expressway. It just continues to validate your belief. So how do we free ourselves? We got to blow up the filter. So when we transform, or one way to transform again is to blow up these filters and really, but we have to know, first of all, that we're limiting ourselves by having these glasses on or these filters. So I was doing a session the other day with a client, and a lot of clients are recording sessions, and this client had recorded it. And I'm like, I was just listening to it a little while ago. I just loved what came up, and it was on filters. So I just want to take a moment, it's just a few minutes of this, and play what came up in her session. And it was exactly about filters. And she has a limiting belief that was affecting her regarding her mother-in-law. So take a listen now. I'll be right back. And then I'm going to talk with you about how to really bust through your own filters. I have a few steps for you. And again, quick, easy, I'm all about that, to help you to transform and become free of these limiting beliefs. So take a listen and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're talking about filters, and I believe you have a filter that says, I am an outsider or I'm an outcast. So what happens is, it's like wearing goggles or glasses, right? And you're walking through life with these glasses on that are sorting for experiences. You're sorting for times in the experience of when you are an outcast. In other words, the filters that we wear, these goggles that we wear, say, see, I'm an outcast. Let me show you how. Let me show you when. Let me show you all the people that treat me in this way. Like I'm an outsider, like I don't belong. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy to be part of your group. Let me find those experiences. So we look out into the world and we look for those experiences to validate the filter. But the filter is what's keeping us stuck. The filter is what's hurting us. It's what makes us feel small. It's what makes us feel not worthy. So what we want to do is bust that filter wide open and crack it. Crack those glasses that we're wearing. Crack the goggles that we're wearing. So how do we do that? So you're going through life going, I'm an outcast, I'm an outsider. Let's take your mother-in-law as one example. So my mother-in-law treats me like I'm an outcast or I'm an outsider. And I just said to you, is that true? So first thing we want to say is it true 100% of the time that I'm always an outcast or an outsider with my mother-in-law? No, you just said she gives me birthday cards. When has she ever included you? Do you know a time when she's included you? Even one time, because one time will blow up that filter. When has she ever reached out to you and said, hi honey, how are you doing today? Or inquired about you, because that pulls you into her experience and is the opposite of being an outcast or an outsider. What we do when we're wearing these goggles or these filters that say, I am fill in the blank. So in your case, I'm an outcast or an outsider. We disregard when we are included, because it's like it just doesn't process. It comes in and it goes, this experience of being included comes toward us. Yeah, I don't care about that. I'm only an outcast. Because the outcast or outsider goggles want to validate for us, that's who I am. Let me just find all those experiences. So we want to go, okay, first of all, it's about having the awareness that I have these goggles on that are looking for those experiences. So pick one person, one experience, one group of people that you have to interact with when you're not an outcast. When you were included, that starts to crack the glasses. And then you keep looking for that and say, you know what? Is it 100% true that every single time I'm with her, I'm an outcast? Pick a friend, pick your mother-in-law, pick whomever. Well, no, I'm not actually. That's not true for me. And you start validating that within yourself. That's not true for me. And those glasses start to break. We want to find the opposite experience. Not only look for it, but see it, think it, and then feel it in the body, chin down. Drop below the chin and go, what does that feel like? When my mother-in-law sent me a birthday card, I feel kind of loved. I feel kind of included in their family. Where do you feel that right now in your body? Like drop down below the chin. Like where do you feel that in the body? So leave that there in your chest area. What does it feel like? It feels really good. Can you let it just be there for a moment and see if it wants to move around? So even say to yourself, even if it was one time I felt included. Wasn't that so good? I just listened to that and I was like, oh my gosh, this was so good on filters. And it just keeps coming up lately. So when things like that keep coming up, I feel like I need to honor what's coming up and do a show on it. So here it is. I'm going to give you one more example, and then I'm going to get to the tools to help you to blast through that filter and just expand on what just happened with my client session. So I had a friend of mine that called me, again, just the other night, and she was totally thrown. She has just started dating this new guy, and for probably about a month. And she really has clicked with him. He seems to have clicked with her. It seems to be like a really, a nice relationship. He's a very nice guy. She is a very nice person too. And it's going along so smoothly. And then he let her know, he said, I really want to be vulnerable with you and share what's going on. He's, I think, in his late 50s, like 57 or something like that. And he said to her, I'm not going to be able to see you for a few days because I'm actually going to have some plastic surgery done on my face. I'm going to have my eyes done. So she's telling me this story, and she was silent after she said that. And I said, okay. And she said, can you believe he's having his eyes done? And I said, yes. He's 57. If someone wants to have plastic surgery, who cares? I mean, I would hope his face wouldn't be to the point where he can't smile or can't blink, but he doesn't seem like that kind of guy. I said, he's 57. He's maybe has droopy eyelids. He wants to have his eyelids done. Who cares? I said, okay. And she says, well, that has thrown me, and I don't want to even date him anymore, and I'm going to break up with him. And she's going on and on and on. And I said, okay. I said, so you're clearly in a story. I said, let's break it down. I said, tell me more about this plastic surgery. What are your beliefs around this? She says, well, he's having plastic surgery, which means he's going to look so much younger and hot. That's what's going to happen. And I said, okay, I love you to death, but this is a story. I'm just reminding you. And she says, well, I just believe that that's true. And I said, okay. I said, and then, so because he's going to look so much younger, according to your story that you're in and your assumption, I said, what meaning are you giving that story? And this is when we go down this rabbit hole. It's like never ending. This is why we have to bust stories immediately and only get fact and truth. Now, again, maybe this guy is getting plastic surgery to look younger, probably. And she said, so he looks really hot. And I said, okay, maybe that's true. But again, I don't know. He's in the entertainment business. Maybe he feels like he's got to look more like his peers. I mean, I have no idea. It doesn't matter. But this was her story. And I said, okay, well, so he's going to look younger and hotter. She says, yes. I said, what's the meaning? And she said, well, if he does that, so here's the meaning that she spun on it. She said, he is doing that so he can date and attract in other women, and then he's going to leave me. It was so cool to sit back and really listen to what I could see it so clearly what was happening. Remember, our filters dictate what we see and experience and don't see and experience in our world. In other words, someone else might be dating a guy or a woman and they're getting plastic surgery and they wouldn't be triggered by it at all unless they have a filter or this core belief that's underneath it all. And so she's got her goggles on and she's looking through life with a filter. So that's where we went next. And I said, okay. I said, I really believe he's hitting a filter of yours, and we need to get down into what that filter is. So I just had her talk a little bit more, and I said, so what is your core belief around this? And honestly, I said, it has nothing to do with your new boyfriend or the guy you're dating. It has nothing to do with plastic surgery. That's like the fluff that's on top. I said, we got to get to the core. Get right to the heart of what really is going on. And I said to her, something really made my alarm bells go off. I said, you said something key. At the very end of when she was giving that meaning, the plastic surgery meaning, she said, because he's going to leave me. And I said, tell me more about people that leave you. What's true? And she sat with it for a little bit. And I was just quiet. And I said, just talk to me a little bit. Go find what is it about people that leave you. And she kind of got teary-eyed because I knew we were going to hit it. And she said, people leave me and then I have to do life alone. And she said, nobody stays. The bells went off. I was like, ding, 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 ding. That's exactly it. So that's her filter. Those are the goggles with which she sees the world. That's how she's seeing the world. People leave me and then I have to do life all alone. Nobody stays. So this is how you bust the filter. Number one, you ask yourself, is that true? 100% absolutely true. And I asked her that question and she said, yes, it's true. She said, people do leave me. I said, is it 100% absolutely true that everybody leaves you in your life? And she said, well, my parents are not there for me. You know, they're not there for me. So yes, I mean, if my parents aren't there for me, then nobody's there for me. And I said, I want you to think through every single person you have in your life and in your whole life. I said, is it true that nobody stays? And she had to think about it. And to me, it was so obvious because I'm on the phone with her. But she said, well, I guess you have stayed with me for many, many years. I said, yeah. I said, who else? And she said, well, my grandmother hasn't left me. I said, yep. Who else? And she started listing people. I added a couple of people that I personally know about. I said, yeah, it's true that your parents have not been there for you and they have truly abandoned you in many times in many ways. I said, however, I haven't left. And we went through the people that have stayed. And I said, so how have those people been there for you? So I really wanted to get into the opposite belief and go there even further. And she says, well, so-and-so helped me move when I had to move into my new house. And she says, and when I was really, really sick, so-and-so brought me food. And when this happened, da-da-da. And she started listing. And I could feel a momentum building, sort of like just an energy moving. And I said, okay, keep going, keep going. And she kept going with it. And I said, great. And here's the thing. Even if it's just one person, that's all it takes. You don't have to find 20. And she didn't have very many. She had a handful of people in her life that have been with her. But it's hard to let people in for her if she's got this belief that people leave and I then have to do life alone. So we have to crack that filter so more people can come in. And honestly, her parents did that to her a long time ago. And when parents leave us and abandon us, it does form some limiting beliefs and filters. And then we think the rest of the world is going to show up in that same way. Because if our parents abandon us, then for God's sake, everyone's going to abandon us. That's what that filter would say. So part two. So we got this momentum going. She started talking again, even if it was just one person. I was like, okay, keep telling me more. Keep telling me more. What else happened with that one person? Keep going. She goes, yeah, I guess that's not quite true, that filter. I said, yeah. I said, when you were really, really sick, I said, and so brought you food. I said, I remember I called you and I would check in all the time. I said, how did that make you feel? Feel it in the body. And she goes, oh, it made me feel like I was cared about and I was important and I mattered. I said, ooh, there's a good one. I said, can you feel that in your body? And she sat with it for a moment. And then boom, her whole heart started opening. She said, my whole body feels like it's open. I said, yeah, it feels really good. Doesn't it? And she says, oh my gosh, it feels so good. She says, you're right. I felt like I mattered because people were paying attention to me and I didn't have to do it all alone. I said, oh, so it was the opposite of your filter. The problem is with filters is we disregard when the good stuff and the opposite truth comes in. So she had many experiences of the opposite belief of her filter. So if her filter is people leave me and I have to do life alone, she'd had opposite experiences, but because of the filter, because of how she's seen the world through these glasses or these goggles, it's like the goggles brush it off the goggles don't allow those other experiences to land on us. So the filter stays alive and strong to prove to us that it's true that everybody leaves. So what we want to do is not just sort mentally for the opposite experiences, but bring it into the body and let it land chin down. And you sit with it, be with it, feel the body expand, try to find the emotion, like what did that feel like when the opposite happened? So for my friend, it was, really felt like I mattered. And I said, tell me how that feels. She goes, oh my gosh, I'm expanding. Again, she got a little teary-eyed. She says, I didn't know that I felt this way. I said, yeah, because the filter doesn't allow this stuff to land. So now that it's landing, we're cracking the filter and it can start to fall away. This is where everything starts to change. And I said, what else could be possibly true? If that filter is telling you one thing, what else can be true based on the experiences that you're sharing with me right now? And she sat with it and she says, some people do stay in my life. I said, okay, great. I said, what else is true? And this is just doing the work of the adult chair. I said, just list for me some things that are fact and truth that you have not been able to sort for until right now. And she said, well, she says, but here's what is true. My parents and my ex-husband are unreliable, and they did leave. And they did leave me alone at some of the worst points in my life. I said, that's true. And she says, and some of my friends did leave me. And I said, and that's true. But just to back up a minute, when we're stuck in these filters, what happens is, in fact, probably why she was calling me is for me to validate her filter, which is what most humans do. Oh yeah, he's probably going to leave you. He's getting that plastic surgery. That means he's going to be looking for another guy. I'd break up with it. That's typically what we do. We get caught in the filter. We call others for validation. Those other people validate us and the filter stays put. But if we want to change our lives, it's start to dig down underneath what the event is, what the experience is, find that core filter and start to change it. So the next thing I had her do was I said, tell me. So she was stuck. She started sliding a little bit into, she's talking about her parents and her ex-husband cheated on her when she was pregnant and left her high and dry, just up and left. It was awful. And her parents did similar things. Awful. I agreed with her. I said, it's true. And some of her friends did the same thing. I said, true. But remember what else is true as well. And she said, you know what? I do have a few really good people in my life, even my grandmother, that stays no matter what. I said, focus on that. In the adult chair, we have a choice with the thoughts that we pick and choose that we want to allow in and to land on us. So I said, which thought feels better? My parents and my ex-husband are unreliable and abandoned me, or I have a few good friends and good people in my life that stayed and that will stay no matter what. And she says, that one feels better. I said, then you cling to that. So I had her keep exploring until it really felt right. And we went into that new, the momentum again. And she's like, yeah, it does feel so good. People do stay. I said, perfect. So the last step to this whole thing of blasting filters is find the new belief that's the opposite of the filter, or the more empowering belief that's opposite of the filter. So I said, what is the new belief? Because the old belief is not true. Because not everybody does leave you. She says, you're right. She says, you know what? Here's what's true for me now. She says, people do stay with me. She says, and I do matter. And I said, just narrow it down to one little statement. She says, people stay for me. And I said, there it is. Write it down. So it's the last step. And she says, that feels so good. I said, yeah, doesn't it? It's not a limiting belief. And she said, great. She said, I said, write that down. People stay for me. People stay for me. And I said, I want you to write it down on Post-it notes or index cards. And I want you to put it in your bathroom, in your car, and put it all around. I said, because as this filter is cracking and really breaking apart, we're going to put this new belief in, and let's see what happens. And I want you to start looking at it. And then throughout the day, these little notes are going to remind you to look for evidence of your new belief that people stay for me. And that's what we want to validate. And that's what we want to focus on. And that cracks and demolishes the old filter. Okay, so here's the greatest news. Because I know I've done this before and I've forgotten in the past to add how it turns out. So I'm going to share with you. I talked to my friend the very next day and I said, "How are you doing?" And she goes, "With what?" And I said, "With the filter that we worked on last night. How do you feel about the guy you're dating?" And she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'd totally forgotten that I was even upset." She said, "I feel fine." She's like, "I'm not triggered. I feel so peaceful. I think we have a great relationship and I'm just going to keep moving forward. I don't feel anything." I was like, awesome. Mic drop. That's how quick this is, people. It hadn't even been 24 hours. I talked to her one night. I talked to her the next morning and she says, "Oh my gosh, it's gone." She goes, "I don't care if he's getting plastic surgery or what he's doing." She's like, "I'm fine with it." So how cool is that? I love it. So if you want to transform, this is doing your own work. Stop blaming other people and dig down, find your filters. I promise you, you have them. If you're living and breathing, you have filters. We all have filters that limit us in our lives. So if you have programs, let's say, or patterns that keep happening over and over and over, why do I keep getting fired from my job? And why do people keep leaving me? And why this? Why this? You have to dig down and find your limiting belief. And remember, we're in our adult chair, people. We don't blame ourselves. We don't blame others. It just happened for whatever reason. We don't have to know why. You do not have to dig back into childhood and find where the filter came from. Who cares? This is just a filter that you have found, and it's our job to take responsibility of our lives and turn that filter around if we want to live empowered, healthy lives. That's our job. This is just what we do as being human. And by the way, after you do this once or twice, it gets easier and easier. And it becomes almost like a natural thing just to look for these filters and go, "Oh my gosh, there's another one. How can I flip that around?" So it's very easy. You've got to let the new belief land for sure. Let it land. Feel it, get the emotion, get the body sensation, anchors it into the body. It's powerful, powerful transformational work. So that's that. All right. Good luck with this. It is very, very easy. It's an easy concept. It just takes a little time to apply it and start looking for the opposite. All right. Let me know what you guys think about this. I love hearing about this. Hit me up on social media. Of course, go to Instagram, michelle.chalfant. And of course, I'm all over Facebook as well. So love you guys. And do not forget theadultchair.com. You know what? If you just go to theadultchair.com, you'll find out all the great stuff that's going on. Oh, and I do want to share this because my website was being redone, and it's being redone again, by the way. But because it was redone, my consultation page was taken down. It's back up. So long distance and local people to Nashville can now book online on my online calendar. So if you go to theadultchair.com and you find the consultation page, you will see there's a drop down with my online calendar, and you can go and book yourself for a session. And I know they are limited, but I do have a few available in the future. So, all right, that's that. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. And I will see you seated right here next week, firmly in the adult chair.